What's up, creeps? It's Jason. Of course, this is Riley from Rigor Mortis Mask, and welcome to another Mask Morgue where, this is bringing me back my childhood right here, man. This is it. Look at this guy right here. A 1988 Dom Post Freddy Krueger mask. It's so fresh that we acquired. I think you just got this last night, did you not?
The latex on this sucker is still pliable. There's no hard spots or anything. And little thin Dom Post masks like this rot quick, so the fact that this one's in good shape is also
it's amazing.
Very cool.
So
yes.
yeah, we just got this thing in, or Riley got it in, and I was like, yeah, bring it in. We need a mask morgue on this thing because, well, I'll let you talk some history real quick on this thing because I have history with this mask as well, which, man, it brings me back. It brings me way freaking back. So talk to me about the Springwood Slasher, man. What do we got, man?
So this is a funny story. Don Post Studios was going through some hard times in the mid-'80s, and so they were trying to figure out what to do. They really wanted to make Freddy Krueger masks, but they could not afford Freddy's licensing.
Ooh.
So Collegeville Costumes actually had the licensing. They wanted to make a rubber mask of Freddy. They didn't have production capabilities to do that, so they contracted Don Post in 1986 to make this little floppy Freddy mask. It's like probably this big. You'll see that mask if you guys watch Adam Sandler and The Wedding Singer. Little kid runs around wearing the mask with his little glove on. And it came in a plastic bag with a little cheap foam hat, kind of like this one.
Yeah.
And they kept ordering them from Don Post, and Don Post was making profits again. And in '88, Don Post actually was able to get the licensing and make this full over-the-head latex mask of Freddy.
Which is cool because Collegeville, if those who know Collegeville masks, they're mainly vacuum formed. There's really cheap Halloween costumes with it's almost like a potato sack of on top of you. And this stuff I used to wear as a kid because I'm old as hell, right? And then you put the vacuum formed thin vacuum mask on that would poke you in the face and all. And their main competitor was Ben Cooper, who was it was like a Coke and Pepsi thing, right? And Ben Cooper being the bigger one, and Collegeville being a little bit underdog. But it was kind of cool that they did a little time with Don Post.
Yeah. Collegeville and Ben Cooper were like Fry's and Albertsons.
Oh, there you go.
They were like the same thing. They made the same.
Unless you don't live in the West Coast and you have no clue what those are grocery stores.
Yeah. They came with like a flame retardant shirt and a little vacuum formed plastic mask, which Collegeville was making one of Freddy.
Yep.
But they wanted the rubber mask, so that's what actually got Don Post through a tough financial time, which I think is pretty cool because the mask, he don't look like a whole lot, but it saved one of the most iconic mask companies in history. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool because this thing's still tagged and everything. And then the hat is great because it's removable, right?
Yeah.
So you can wear this thing and all this stuff. So and here's my story on this, man. I'm probably going to put this back on really bad, but
it's okay.
As a kid, as a teenager, I did not have this mask, but my best friend, Van, this guy, I think he's dead. It doesn't matter. He had it. And we're back in the 80s. If you got a Dom Post, it was kind of interesting because it sounds like these are cheap masks and all, easy rubber masks, but they were about $35 to $45 back then, right? Yeah. And which, let's fast forward to today's date, that's almost like $100, okay? Yeah. So to have a Dom Post mask back in those days, you got to have money. I really didn't have that much money, so I was going more of the cheap Halloween, Collegeville or Ben Cooper mask type of stuff, which I did have the Freddy Krueger vacuum form mask, which is cool, right? But once again, not knowing what the hell we had, these would be a big deal back, later on, 30 years later. What we did, we spray painted this thing black, right? Just to make it even more scarier and to scare kids on Halloween or just in the neighborhood. Idiots. I'm an idiot. I'll be the first to admit that because, and that's why I want to tell you guys out there, you youngins out there, including this guy, but he knows. Even the Trick or Treat Studio stuff, right? Which people think, it's cheap masks, or not cheap, but
attainable,
mid-range mask. If you decide to be collecting, hold on to these things, take care of them, leave a tag on if you want to be a collector and all that, because one day Trick or Treat Studios might go under, right? We never thought Don Post would go under. We didn't even thought it would last until I was dead, right? But they went under, and then all their masks became super valuable. Yeah. So I would, even like I said, Trick or Treat Studios or these other mask lines, 30 years from now, you may be doing a mass morgue,
Yeah.
and actually talking about those. So like we're doing this
Trick or
right
treat
now.
studios you had when you were a kid,
Yeah. So I mean, the sculpt is,
I mean, in the 80s, if you were a monster kid or a slasher kid, you would have wanted this,
Absolutely.
It would be the closest thing you could get. And it's crazy because it even has the $39.95 price tag on it, which in '88, that was a lot of money for
it was close to $100. It was probably,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you kind of doing the time frame. I mean, it was, but I remember I couldn't afford that. And it was like, oh my God, I tell my parents, they're like, we're not going to spend $40 on a rubber mask,
Yeah.
Let me get you one for $1, Okay, so that's how it happened. But to see this thing again, man, to see the Springwood Slasher coming back, and look at this guy, man. And actually, this is really freaking good shape.
Yeah, latex is all pliable, no hard spots or anything, no rot. So.
Yeah, and it's very iconic, and it's obviously it's iconic, but it's a piece of history, And I always think because first Don Post, Freddy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so which is pretty rad, man. So I'm happy you brought this in. I'm happy you guys get to check it out, man. And kind of we'll do a walks arounds and all this stuff, and kind of see. Actually, even the paint. The paint's kind of wild because it's almost like they forgot to finish the back.
That's what I love about this thing is because it was $40, but it's like they didn't even care about the back half of the mask. It's just that pink bubblegum latex, but the face is painted like the pizza style. So it's just funny because that would have been a grail when you were back in the 80s, but it's just not even fully painted.
So
Hilarious.
These days, if you found one of these on eBay, in this condition, what are you thinking? What do you think this thing would probably run for?
Ones in this shape, like in good shape, I see on eBay for like 100, maybe $200.
Yeah.
They don't go for too much, but it's because Collegeville just kept ordering and ordering from Don Post because the demand was so high for these Freddy masks that they just kept ordering, and that's how Don Post was able to survive the tough times. So.
Yeah. Which is wild to see all these companies bond together to help each other out, well, I don't think it was like I want to help out Don Post, but I think we need to help both survive, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And to come up with a mask that we're talking about here 30 plus years later, man, which is pretty rad. So there you guys go. Check this guy out, man. An '88 Don Post Freddy Krueger. I'm going to put on the hat here, and we're going to wish you guys sweet dreams.